Good morning, good afternoon, and of course, good evening, and welcome to episode number 11 of the Flipperana's Chinwag Podcast, UK Podcast thingamajiggy, What's It Dewberry thing. We thought we'd do it a little bit differently this time because I wanted to do a sort of review of Pinfest, but I didn't want to go OTT with it really. So I thought the best way to do it was really to have a chat with my old mate Spencer, who was a Pinfest virgin, much like myself as well. Although I broke my cherry on the Thursday, he had to wait till the Friday, which is strangely odds with how things used to be when we were younger. Funny enough, but anyway, we had an absolutely wonderful time. I'm going to be doing obviously a lot more of these podcasts as well, so. You please excuse me. On the forum, we got a thread which is called the Chinwag Podcast. I've had so many people message and ask to be on. Some of them have been mentioned on the thread. Some of them have been mentioned in private messages. Some of them are via email, and some have just been on social media as well. So please excuse me. I'm in a bit of an issue because I'm used to aggregating them all together. So what I might do is on Pinball info on the forum, I may well just put a page up on the thread where we just list who wants to participate, if that's okay with you, of course. Right, okay, let's bring Spencer in now, who's waiting in the wings.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
I'm very well. Of course, we just had this conversation a second ago.
Well, we did back in the green room. Yes. It's a long time since I've been described as a virgin. Many years.
Well, you were this time, that's for sure. I'm not going to ask if you enjoyed it. I know you had a thoroughly nice time. Let's just start off with the big question. What was your favourite machine that you played?
Oh, favourite machine? Crikey. Wow, that's actually a really tough question. Because some machines, they've got different pluses and minuses.
I'm going to have to push you, Spencer, for an answer. My inner Paxman there. Did you see it?
I've gone full politician.
You did?
I did actually like Dracula, strangely enough. I'm going to do it about 10. I think Batman 69. Or 66, isn't it? Batman 66, not 69.
Did you say Batman 69?
Yeah, I did. It's 66, isn't it?
Oh, I see. I'll tell you what. Oh, dear.
But that Batman game was amazing. I really liked the gameplay on it, and I loved the theme as well, because when I was a kid, I was a big Batman fan. And that old series, with Alfred and all the rest of them, it was just nicely delivered.
All the characters are very familiar to me.
Yeah, and the soundtrack, I got to hear it when everything was a bit quieter in the room, and the soundtrack really does it justice.
It was a Batman soundtrack, obviously.
Yes, absolutely. It was just an all-round enjoyable game. If I had to take one game from there and take it home with me, that would be the one to just put in the front room and let people play and enjoy.
You're in the market for a machine now, aren't you, at the moment?
God, yeah. What a tough market it is. I'd love a Jurassic Park. I'd like an Avengers. That would be very nice.
You played that a lot, didn't you?
Yeah, in fact, I think I might have beaten you on Avengers at one point, which makes me...
At one point, clearly...
Does that make me number 4 in the country and you number 5?
You're clearly not the galactic champion that I was for... actually, I was momentarily second in the whole cosmos at that game. I think you may well have had some glory at one point, but I think you were very much the mayonnaise sandwich, may I say, because I think I started off by beating you and I finished off by beating you.
It was a beating sandwich. I will take that one. So
you played that a lot.
Yeah. The Avengers is very good. I did enjoy Avengers. I love the ramps on it. It's got some really great shots on it. I don't think you would get tired of it very quickly at all. I mean, I know it's one of these machines that's got a rule set that goes on, and I think I'm ready for one of those. I'd like to do that.
Yeah, it was amazing quite how many people came away from that festival saying exactly the same thing, which is they want an Avengers. And I think it sort of ties in with what's happened with COVID, that people haven't been able to get out and play as many machines as they would do because these venues have not been open. So even though the machine has been out for over a year, it's still a lot of people's first time to try it. And it was crazy because there were at least 3 there. There might have even been 4, weren't it? Well, I think 4 including the competition machine, which was Wayne.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the competition machine was out of bounds unless you're playing competitions after. I think it was after Friday night, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, there was practice on it.
But yeah, there was a fair few around. But I think you could say the same thing about a lot of machines there. I mean, even some really old machines. There was a lot of machines there that I'd heard of from way back when that I just never come across before. And unless you can get out to places, a lot of them were in great condition.
Yeah,
Cactus Canyon. You loved Cactus Canyon.
Amazing. It's funny, and it's part of being new to this podcast. And I would like to say, not new to this podcast. I'm old.
You've been doing this a while, yeah.
From the start, but sort of new to the pinball scene, if you want. Whilst, as we've ascertained already, you and I have been playing pinball for quite some time. Actually, new to the pinball scene, the massive gaps, massive holes in certainly my knowledge of games, and it'd be really good to actually. I do want to get more people on this podcast who've been in the pinball business for a long time to get some other ideas and some other stories, certainly. But to have not played Cactus Canyon and to have heard about it, I tell a lie. I got an opportunity to play it once. And the place where I went, it wasn't working. So
that's typically what happens.
Isn't it, just? Particularly an old game. But I was blown away. It reminded me of Champion Pub, which I do love. I want to get a little top 10 video going at some point, actually, with top 10 machines people have owned or something like that. And I was having a little think of my own.
Desert Island Machines, that sort of thing. Desert Island Machines,
yeah. Yeah. Actually, I've got a joke for you later, actually, about a man stranded on an island and a donkey and a lady. It's a very, very good joke.
I think I might have heard it, but we'll run with it and see what happens. Is it for broadcast or is that just for me?
No. I'll probably tell you. I just think if I start trying to tell jokes on this, we'll lose. We've done well. We're getting sort of over 300 on these now, which I'm delighted with. I think we might lose.
Don't jeopardise that.
If I start trying to be funny. So, Cactus Canyon, really reminded me of Champion Pub. But you enjoyed that as well.
Yeah, it was good. I didn't play it as much as you did. It was, for me, it was nice. It was that and Circus Voltaire as well. I mean, there was a lot of older games there that I hadn't had a chance to see when they're working, because either they're in an arcade and they're knackered, or they're in somebody's collection and they're sat there with the hood in parts and the playfields all up and all the rest of it because they're doing something to them. It was really nice to get some good solid machines there. Just as an aside, the staff there were fantastic. Whenever a machine went down, sort of little blue swarm of people went in there, and there's voltmeters and all sorts of things going on, and fantastic service to keep those machines going over that whole weekend, especially the older ones.
What, the older staff members?
The older staff members, the older machines, and the older players. Yeah,
absolutely.
I think the bar might have kept the older players going. I don't know. But,
the staff are fantastic. You're absolutely right, and I almost feel bad calling them staff. It's just volunteers who are there helping out, and they seem to strike that balance, which I guess they take from Phil anyway, who is just a humble, helpful guy. Which is like they sort of disappear, don't they? It's the background, like they camouflage, so they don't. They're not.
Do you know? I think
sometimes you go and park in a supermarket, someone pops up with a high vis jacket. Oh no, you can't park there, and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
I thought they were absolutely fantastic.
They were, and I think it's it's a testament to Phil as well. I mean, Phil was wandering around the whole event most of the weekend with a big grin on his face, and fair play to him. There's a lot of pressure with running something like that, and to his I don't know what's the word I'm planning for. To his credit, that's it. To his credit, the whole thing went seamlessly. I mean, it might have been coasting along the top with paddling like ducks underneath, but as far to somebody who'd never been there before, it was an extremely well organised event. Extremely well organised.
It is, and it is. You're right. It is a testament. It is amazing, and you've only got a you know what it's like when you get a family round or something and you're trying to get 6 to 8 people in a room to decide when you're ordering pizza what toppings they want, how hard it is to get people to strike an accord and to get a general consensus of what the top. As I say, I always say this, it's hard enough to organise the toppings on a pizza. Never mind. I don't know how many people turned up over that weekend. I just don't know. I'm sure Phil will tell us the figures, but hundreds. And to do that and to organise that is something very, very special indeed. And I do think it was, lots of people said it was the best Pinfest. I don't doubt that. I think we all really needed it. So many people that I spoke to, there was their first really proper time out amongst other people since COVID. And I keep going back to COVID, but I think it's relevant to this actually, that so many people had been sort of locked away. And this was the massive pressure release for people to go out and do exactly what they love to do, mate.
Well, yeah, I mean, certainly for me, I've not been on the forum. So I think I joined the forum about 3 days before Pinfest, which is sort of cheating, really. But I got to go and meet lots and lots of people. And you sort of, what I found was you could go and have a chat with somebody and you could talk about somebody's collection. And then, well, there's one of those over there. It's kind of a 2-player game. And you could actually talk about the machine. You could have a chat with somebody whilst having a game of pinball and doing the thing that sort of brought those people to the venue, really. It was just a lovely thing to be able to do.
Well, you can, Spencer. Fierce competitors like myself can't engage in conversation when we're in the midst of combat, you understand?
Yeah, well, you got really excited about the tournament, didn't you?
Yeah, I found really myself looking for other tournaments, to be fair. When I said on the phone, can we arrange one, didn't I?
Yeah. Well, what does it take? Do we need 10 machines in a venue? Can we do a tournament?
I don't know. I guess we'd need an adjudicator as well. I mean, I think we'd just probably ask Wayne to have.
Yeah, I'm sure if you ask him nicely, he'll come down and play. But,
sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say because you I know that is it Craig?
Yeah.
Who you had on? Yeah, he's I have to excuse me, names going one ear and out the other with me. Craig sort of enticed you into and suggested that you have a go at the tournament. And before, you just sort of grabbed it and went straight in. And I think I felt a little bit unable to do it because I've had very little experience on machines, but you were really lucky because a couple of the machines in that tournament lineup you'd had in your sort of
boudoir
games, your boudoir, your games room there for about sort of 3 or 4 months. So you had 2 that you could play half decently, and then you were going to have an oddball that you just have to take a bit of a punt on. And I think that went really well for you, really well. And as you said on Avengers, you were second for a long time. You held the second highest score on that. I think at the end of the weekend, you were still only 4th.
Yeah, but it was, it was a great game. And do you know what? I'm still at a loss to work out what the rule set is on Avengers. But I had a plan. It might not have been the right plan, but the plan was to keep the ball live, to avoid the areas where I knew it was going to have a nasty drain on it. And actually to try, and there's 2 multi-balls that I only know what one of them's called, which is Thor Multiball, which is just really easy when we hit the captive ball. And then there's another multi-ball where you lock it in the magnet thingy. You see, I don't even know. It's the Benedict Cumberbatch Magna Lock, I might call it. The Sherlock Holmes.
The mystery ball lock.
Benedict Cumberbatch's mystery balls. And I don't know, if you get 3 of them locked up there, then you get a multi-ball. So, but it was, it was a voyage of discovery. But I've definitely got a taste for it now. You
could definitely see it. I mean, I've known you a long time. Your eyes were firmly fixed on the tournament. And I disappeared off. I had to disappear on Sunday morning. But I know you spent the whole of Sunday. I watched the last podcast, and you spent the whole of Sunday watching the tournament. I don't think you had a game on the pinballs, did you?
Yeah, well, I'd a little one. Speaking of which, just going back to those pinballs over in the main area, I walked up and it was you were playing Indiana Jones.
Oh, which one? Because there were several there, weren't there?
Which I'd never seen before. And all the balls tipped out the Ark of the Covenant.
I've had that before.
I think it's actually a verse from the Bible. I've just said.
Yeah, absolutely. And thou shalt not tip the balls out of the eye.
Yeah, I'm going to cover it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That was amazing when that happened, right?
It caught me by surprise because I didn't know it was going to happen either. This is my first game on it, and suddenly this crazy multi-ball happened. How they sort of all got locked in there in the first place, I don't know. I don't recall sort of putting them in there. They just materialised.
It's the power of the Lord, my friend. I bet it's the Ark of the Covenant, for goodness' sake.
Absolutely. But that was a big surprise. I think it was probably Saturday night, wasn't it? I think we'd had a few beers as well, so it was even more surprising than it should have been.
You're suggesting we were drunk and it never really happened.
No, it definitely happened.
That was a pinball moment. I think the only thing that was, and I'm sure someone will correct us and tell us, inform us on here, the only thing that I was unsure about was quite how many balls had cascaded from.
At least 20. At least 20. Yeah, maybe more.
We had double vision because we were drunk, so it was 10.
Well, Saturday evening was my evening of side drains. I don't think I've had as many side drains as I had on Saturday night ever on all the games. I don't know what was going on. I ended up, Scott and I were having a chat, and we were wandering around playing a few games. And I think he must sort of think I'm the side drain king at the moment, because everything that happened was side drain. And then we went to stall ball, and I was following Scott. And Scott knows the game. He went up to me, knocked the ball, no problem. Walked away, I get up, and it literally spits the ball out straight into the side drain. And I'm like, that was it. That was my game over. That was my only experience of stall ball, was me with a stupid expression on my face.
Yeah. Neil shouted at you to get out.
Off you go.
It was all over. It was all over very quickly. Stall ball, obviously not for the people that won it. It took a long time for them, but I'm very pleased. I really enjoyed that competition, and fair play for Dill for really drumming up all the excitement and getting it all going.
He does do a very good job. It's fast and frenetic, and it's good fun, and it's not a serious competition at all. It's just damn good fun, really.
Well, you say it's not a serious competition. I did spot one or two.
Well, not for me. It wasn't a serious competition. I could assure you.
Take it seriously. Did you play in the NBA?
No, I didn't. I did watch a few of those games. There was a couple of guys towards the end of the evening that I think it came down to one point. I don't know their names, but they were both seriously going at that game as if their life depended on it. It was very entertaining to watch. And we did have a go. I think it was it Saturday night. We got a chance to have a go at the game itself without having the linked machines, without actually going on the competition.
We had that. You remember when we used to, on the first ever PlayStation, we used to link up and play Command and Conquer, didn't we? We used to have a link.
Oh God, yeah.
PlayStations.
I didn't even know you could do that with pinballs.
Neither did I. I didn't have a clue. And I tell you what, every reason for them to really keep those machines going and running, because it brings such a wonderful facet to it, an additional element to the competition, and Jeff's there with his I'm sure there's other umpire, but it looks like a WWE thing with this black and white stripe.
The black and white umpires with shirts and umpires thing. So, with whistles and everything. It's a lovely touch. Lovely touch.
It was excellent, and I just think one person, one machine, particularly being so low scoring as well, because this is why I tried. I really wanted to
low scoring for you.
When I scored for me, 10 points. I did want to make the point when I was doing the podcast with Craig, because I think from the outside, if you look at pinball, you can see all these millions of points. They become quite overwhelming and quite daunting. And I've never forgot that for the first time I saw it. So actually, I think this is a great little introduction where, it's whatever, a long shot, a long basket, it's 3 points, stuff like that. And when you have to have that if you've got two machines linked up, because you don't want to be in your brain looking at the other person's machine and trying to work out what the bonus is on however many hundreds of million or whatever the case may be. So this was really, really simple. And I think it seemed to score like a basketball game in as much as, I guess, half. I think a basketball game, they roughly have about 100 points. So this was more like half a basketball game. So I think sort of 50 50 odd points generally be the winning total. But it was so exciting the way it was going on, and a real asset, I think, to
it was very much. I mean, we've all done 2-player games on machines, and one person steps up while the other one steps back. But there's something very much different about playing somebody head to head on a machine. And as you say, something with such a simple scoring system, first 1 to 30 points, or it was a timed match, I think, on that one. How long were they playing for? Was it 5-6 minutes or something? It wasn't long.
But then there's this half time part, and then half time it goes up into the back box, and you're hitting it off the flipper.
Yeah.
Which again, you've got to basically hit a basket. It's a wonderfully innovative thing, and again, it goes back to Scott's pinball moments. That is a pinball moment.
Yes, it is.
Whacking the ball around in the back glass. Speaking of which, there was another machine where you whacked the ball around in the back glass that caught your attention.
Oh, yes. Banzai run. Scott and I had a little crack at that, and that was really addictive. There's something about it's a very simple lower playfield. There's something about it when you can get the ball goes up a sort of lifter on the left hand side, and then gets dropped off on the upper playfield. And then you've got to sort of flick it up and try and get it up as high as you can. And I think it's like playing an early sort of arcade game, the very simple sort of platform games almost. In fact, I think that's it. It's almost a platform game for pinball. And with a lot of the platform games, you fail, the ball goes down, and you've got to get it, and you've got to build it back up, try and get to the top. And it's incredibly addictive. Forget the points. I have no idea what points I scored on that machine. I wasn't interested in it. Yeah, it was probably biblically low. But it was more a question of, okay, well, once the points are out of the window, how far can I get that ball up to the top? Can I get it to the top of that banzai run? And thank God it was on free play, because I would have lost a lot of money trying to put.
It is the challenge, isn't it? Actually,
yes,
on that. I've never played that before. Is actually to get it onto that top level, because you will fail a couple of times, on the first level or the second level, and it's a lovely bit of innovation, and this is why I mean, it's a conversation for another time. I think with other people that know more about home pin and deep root and Pinball Brothers and all this other stuff, which I don't know too much about. I think it's incredibly important for the innovation of pinball that more people come in and more people manufacture, and it can be. I was over on Pinside the other day, Spencer, and it's quite partisan on there, and not everybody, granted, but you're either fully invested in a brand, so you're a stern guy, and people are actually quite evangelical about it, actually, to the point where they will dismiss anything that's not. And I don't think it's healthy for anything, Spence. You know me, mate. I love my cameras. I think it'd be a really, really bad. I love my Panasonic Lumix cameras. I really do. I think it'd be really bad for the camera world if it was only Panasonic Lumix that were making cameras.
I think certainly Pinfest was a great opportunity to. Crikey, half the time I didn't even clock who was making which machine. It didn't really matter. It was just a question of what game was it, did it float my boat, and what did it bring to the party?
Well, and it actually, Pinfest brought all of those machines together. I don't know. Look, clearly it was going to be Bally Williams dominated. And let's be fair, they make the most fun machines. That's why Cactus Canyon and Champion Pub, I will go back to those because I'd played the most. But Attack from Mars, I know we're talking big titles here, a lot of them. These are fun machines. Obviously the Sterns have the bigger depth, but I felt going back to a lot of those older machines, the electromagnetic machines, some of the solid state machines. It was great to play those. We've got a video coming up on this channel which is going to be just covering. Just covering the classic competition, which will be just people out on a video on its own. For those of you who don't know, I left Pinfest on Sunday, and I got back here to empty out the van. Brought everything cameras. So I took 2 or 3 cameras with me, didn't I? To get as much footage as possible. Brought everything back in the house. Went back, laptop. And the ridiculous thing is, if you go back and you actually watch the footage of the final, when Tim sat there talking and commentating, you could actually see behind him over his shoulder, you could see my laptop. Oh no, it's my laptop. And the worst thing is, as you know, it had all of my Pinfest footage on it. So I'm a little bit behind. I've got to thank Phil for, Phil, first of all, for winding me up and saying, what laptop?
Nice, really nice. Well done, Phil.
Absolutely. He said, I found your laptop. I said, oh, thanks, Phil. I said, because that's worth an absolute fortune, that. He said, what laptop? Which is great. And also Tony for bringing it down. And I went and saw Tony and Vicky in the week down in Kent, which was absolutely lovely to see them as well. So, but I've got the classic competition, which myself and Spencer filmed, which is going to be, well, I've actually filmed a competition. It's the machines in there and how the competition was run and whatnot. And the point being, I felt they brought all of these games really well together. And it is a point of bringing these niches together, because you're going to get this in any hobby, in the same way that Spencer, we used to go fishing, right?
Yes, yeah.
You know what I mean. You know, the carp fisherman, doesn't speak to the coarse fisherman, and all of that. So
yeah, all of that.
Absolutely. Floating bait, or do you run a ledger that gets the bottom feeds? Oh no, I'm only here fishing for barbel. Well, surely it's good if you catch any fish. No, just barbel. And I think it's the same for any hobby. I know cycling can be exactly the same. And I think to bring everything together for just a mutual love of pinball, and it's not just whether you're into electromagnetic, solid state, the Bally Williams, the WPCs, or of course the more modern LCD games. It's also whether you're into the competitive side, whether you're actually just into playing them for recreational purposes, whether you're a collector, or of course whether you're a restorer. And what it's doing is bringing all these people in together, and everybody's having a thoroughly.
It's just
nice
all
time.
Pinball. That's all it is. It's just pinball, and it brings people together. People like it for, as you say, for whatever reason. But I think it was a good broad show of machines and different people with different interests in the same hobby.
Yeah, no, it absolutely was. There was a little bit of talk about a hotel, and I do want to say just a couple of things about the hotel, actually. Just purely because it's coming for some criticism, and let's be fair, let's call it as it is, Spence. We had a bit of trouble getting served on one night, which cost us, I felt, an hour of valuable. I was going to say valuable pinball time, but let's be honest, valuable time leading up against the pinball machine, chatting to your mates whilst drinking a beer and making new friends. And by the way, making new friends is by far and away the most successful part.
Yeah. I would agree. I would agree with that wholeheartedly. I've met some lovely people over the weekend. That I would class as friends.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to catch up with them again.
Yeah, and so we will, mate. But it didn't go without its hitches, glitches, whatever you want to say. So yeah, there was a bit of a wait for food on one of them. So they were struggling with the restaurant. I think largely because they were understaffed. I just think that, without getting overly political or anything like that, I think the hospitality sector has suffered massively wherever you go. I think they're still trying to come to terms with COVID. Maybe they implemented furlough wrong, just whatever. I
think on the flip side, I mean, that's not just that hotel. You're absolutely right. It's across the board. But one thing I would say in their favour is the staff were obviously they were understaffed. There's no hiding that. But actually, they were pretty good about it. There wasn't an awful lot of grumbling. And on the flip side, they let people order pizzas and bring in their own food, and they turned a blind eye to a lot of things that you possibly wouldn't have got away with in anywhere else or at any other time, in as much as it was a case of, well, it's almost letting you muck in and help make the best of what was going on, really. And I think that goes a long way. They weren't particularly officious with anything. They were very, very accommodating, very accommodating.
Well, this is it, and that is an excellent point with regard to the food, because we go back to what we said earlier about the high-vis jacket brigade. How many times have you heard people say, "Oh, excuse me, only hotel bought food to be consumed on the hotel premises"? And they say it always in that voice, I find, Spencer.
Absolutely, it's a difficult one to do, but you got it down really well.
and actually they do. So there was a problem, and you're right. You go down to Tesco Express, you bring yourself some sandwiches back, and so on and so forth. And I did think that was really, really good. And a point that Phil made, and this is massive, by the way. This is a massive point that he made, which is they do allow you to run of the place. Now, nobody tap me on the shoulder, excuse me, sir, where you going. Nobody saying when you're drunk, stumbling across the foyer at 1:30 in the morning. I speak for other people, not myself, of course, or you.
No, nothing to do with me.
And actually to leave you to it, and then actually to be left to. So you haven't got this whole thing. Oh, can I check your pass and all the rest? Obviously, the staff do a great job of that on the day. And I think you could look for another venue, and I believe Phil was already booked for next year. And I don't blame him at all. And I think he's done it straight away. And I think he's wise to do it straight away.
I think he's very wise to get that in the bag. There's got something. Crikey, when did they shut the bar? Because it wasn't shut at 11 o'clock or midnight. I mean, we were still getting drinks. I think they kept the bar open until the last person went to bed, bless them.
Yeah, which is fair enough. I mean, and bloody good of them, really. I think the other thing as well is you've got to look at price on this thing and the price point. Yeah. And we're lucky. We are lucky. We both have a machine or two at home. And that's great. There are people, not everybody. I think it's important to remember not everybody in pinball's got a machine.
Yeah.
And I mean, I rely heavily on people loaning me machines, as you know, and favours from sailors and all that type of thing, Spencer. And
the first time.
No, absolutely not. And I think it's really important, particularly at a time when people haven't been able to get out to clubs and whatnot. And we're going to Flip Out really soon, which is another fantastic place to go and play pinball.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, actually. Go down and see Matt.
Could be a good crack. Could be a good crack, no doubt about it. And I think it's really important to remember some people, you don't want to price people out of pinball, particularly if people haven't got enough money to buy these ridiculously expensive machines, which are complete indulgence anyway. What you don't want to do is price them out of pinball and then say, well, actually, your ticket is, okay, we're going to go to a bigger venue, whatever, a better venue, but actually your ticket's going to go up by 50 to 100 quid for each ticket. You're just going to price people out. So I think you've got to be, got to leave it open. And I had a thoroughly good time. We had a little hassle with a key card, didn't we? But
yeah. But
I think by the time we were just drunk, and I thought we thought that it was just us being drunk, didn't we? That we couldn't work the key.
Oh yeah, just sat there doing that for about 10 minutes. No, it will work eventually. Try it other way up, flip it over. It's same as many things in life. it was try it
good.
From the other end, usual thing. But yeah, and eventually you go down and back down to reception. They just reprogram it, and you go back up there and it works, and you feel a bit sheepish. But I think it was. I think it was. The venue. The venue had been through what every venue had been through, and I don't really think there's an awful lot of point in sort of dwelling on that any further. I don't think it will be the same next year.
No, and I do hope the spa's open next year.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I was looking forward to it. I was going to say facial, but I won't say that.
I don't think I would have made it in. I don't think I would have made it in. I think I would have been by the end of it. I drunk so much. I think I would have been very floaty.
Yeah, I would have used the pool. I would have gone for a swim. That would have been nice. But next year we'll see what happens.
I think I would have been a crouton, bobbing around, basically.
Desiccated crouton.
You're right. I was very disappointed. So anyway, so that was that. The hotel was actually, I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Let's just say that. And actually, just go back to the guys again. Actually, getting in and getting out, they had that really. Oh, you weren't there at the end to actually get.
I wasn't there Thursday night or Sunday, but I did actually see some of your time lapse footage. I was having a little nose around on the footage there and saw you showed me some of the time lapse stuff. And it was ruthlessly efficient. I know on time lapse everything looks quick and efficient.
That's just great. It's fast. They look really fast.
They
got it all done in 30 seconds.
I know, it's incredible. But Thursday night, I mean, there was a little bit of tidying up on Friday to do. But most of it, I mean, I turned up, I think, about 2 p.m. and the place looked ready to roll. We went round and we did some filming on the Friday afternoon, and pretty much everything was done. That's pretty good going for 100 plus machines.
Yeah, isn't it, Justin? They were all okay, with the exception of maybe one or two. They were all pretty much working, and all could be tweaked. Even there'd be a little label to go on, saying it was out of order. It was never on for very long.
No. Like I say, this had just descended on it in a blue swarm, and so out came test equipment and bits and pieces. And I think some people turned up with broken machines and left with working ones, which.
That's frowned upon, apparently.
It may be frowned upon, but what happens in transit,
Yeah, I think this is poor practice, as I was told. Some people have been known to take a faulty machine to Pinfest with the hope that it will get. No, not nay, the hope with the
in the certainty of fixing. So you took a machine down there, didn't you? You took down Deadpool. How was that How was that from an owner's perspective? Taking a machine down there?
It's still there, which fine, absolutely fine. And you know me, I didn't even spend that much time. The only thing I was worried about actually was I didn't see anyone mistreating the machine. The only thing I was worried about was not having any of my scores left on there.
Yeah, that was always going to happen. I think one person, somebody was teasing you and said, "Why have they got the glass off?" And
it was Andy.
Was it Andy?
Andy, I was in the bar, and Andy came into the bar. He said, "Why have they got the glass off on your pin?" What? Oh, you
spilling beer and rushing in.
Yeah, So yeah, but that's Andy.
That is Andy.
He's constantly on the wind up. It was a good experience, Spence. I've got to say, and it's I will take Elvira next time. And
it was such a shame you couldn't take Elvira this time because your Elvira is stunning.
It's turned
up. Has
it? Yeah. Not only is it turned up, the speaker panel.
Well, for anybody that doesn't know, Chris's Elvira has had all sorts of crazy mods done on it, but he sent some stuff off to Germany, wasn't it, to go and get painted?
Yes.
And the courier's lost it, and it's been missing for ages, to the extent that I think you bought some replacement parts to send out there, or ask the guy if he could source them direct, and then bill you for them. And now they've turned up.
Well, to be fair, I haven't actually got the thing, but if you saw the Deadpool on the speaker panel, I guess they do it with lasers. Is that how they must cut the? Is that how they cut the metal? I don't know.
Yeah, you can laser or water cut.
Right, well, whatever. It's done it's precision done. So on the Deadpool, the speakers are little Deadpools. On the Elvira, it's the full Elvira. The long hair,
the full Elvira, yeah.
The full Elvira, if you know what I'm saying. Are the speaker panels. So you can't just go out and buy this stuff. And that was the last one that had been manufactured. So it was a bit of a nuisance, to say the least. But it turned up. It'd been in Cologne Airport for 7 weeks or something like that. I actually turned up at the guy's house. He's got it back, so he's now putting the finishing airbrushing touches to Elvira. I will bring that with me next time. I'll tell you something that did make me laugh though. So I get mostly massive feedback, good feedback on Deadpool, and taking Deadpool there, and a lot of people are aware of Deadpool, and it wasn't the gameplay. People were mainly talking about the airbrushing and that sort of thing.
I mean, the cabinet artwork on that, the things you've done to it does look pretty special.
Well, listen, I like it. But I had an interesting conversation with somebody, and it actually got me thinking, because he said to me, "Is that a premium?" He wasn't sure. Is that a premium? I said, "No, it's a pro." And he said, "Oh right." He said, "So you've got all these mods and had all this airbrushing done for a pro?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "What's the point?" And it sort of made me laugh. Not in a nasty way. As I just said to him, well, there's no point. It's not an oven. It's a complete indulgence.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a complete indulgence. And he said, yeah, but why would you put the additional stuff on there? I said, to make it look pretty, basically, and because I like it, because that's it. Now, obviously, pretty is completely subjective. I understand. If it was Jessica, my daughter, doing it, it'd be pink and have flowers on it. And
it would look like My Little Pony, basically, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Exactly. Which hopefully which would be Stern's next release, I think.
Oh, wouldn't it be great if they did My Little Pony pinball?
They would. But I said to him, I said, yeah, but I'm just trying to make it look better. He said, but I don't understand why you do that. I said, but that's happening already. And he said, why? I said, well, because there's no need for any of it. There's no need for, I said, the moment someone has etched the first bit of art onto a playfield, it's become an indulgence. Because actually, if it was anything other than, if it was just purely functional to play the game, it would just be a white playfield with a couple of ramps and then shot 1, 2, 3, 4. The moment you start introducing theme, the moment you start making elaborate designs, well, you're already there. You've started on that journey. So it's already an extravagant. So, you know, it was just interesting to see.
So was he coming from it from a purist point of view? Because I know there's some people out there that say, well, this machine is original, and I'm going to keep it original, and you know, even an LED bulb is a bridge too far. And there are other people that say, well, actually, I'm happy to embellish my machine, and to attempt to improve it, even if it's just in my opinion. So I don't. What was? Did he just not understand why you would want to, or was he coming from it from a different point of view?
No. I think he thought it was pointless because it wasn't an LE. So basically, why would you pimp? Why would you pimp? I thought, well, mate, you should have seen my old Corsa, mate. You know what I mean? But why
it looked like it had driven backwards through Halfords, didn't it? Yeah.
why would you pimp a Pro? And I was just sort of making the point. Well, it's already embellished. It is already festooned. It doesn't. No pinball machine needs cabinet artwork. None of it. You don't actually need a back glass. You don't need this stuff. The moment you theme it, so I said, I've just sort of carried on that. But he said, yeah, but you know, why didn't you just get anyway?
It's a good job he didn't take Elvira. He'd have fallen off his legs.
He certainly would. But I can't afford an LE anyway. And the point is, I can't afford an LE in the same way as when I had the Corsa, I couldn't afford a Ferrari. So I made that Corsa as Ferrari-like as I could. I never quite got there, Spencer, to be fair. I just was like an annoying twat, really. But you know, but it was anyway. I just found it a really, really, really funny to look at that perception of doing it. And I absolutely love the machine. So that's going to go on a little road trip and visit a couple of places, which I think is only fair, and I think it's the way to go, really. So what are you? I mean, you mentioned Jurassic Park,
Avengers and Jurassic Park, or a Batman. I'm rapidly coming around to the idea that it's a good idea to swap machines out, and I saw the benefit of that, especially the tournament, because I've been playing in isolation on one or two machines for the last sort of 15 years, and as a result, I might have flipper skills. I've obviously got the ability to side drain a ball at will, and I've got an idea on how to play pinball and how to learn the table and how to play shots. But unless you've got are you attracting those again? Unless you've got an idea on how the rule set of the machine, you are at a disadvantage, and you've got to have that exposure. And I think having a selection of machines sort of on rotation every 3 or 4 months, that even if you're not buying and selling them, even if you buy a machine that is something that is going to be wanted in amongst your group of friends, something that's going to be appealing to the people that you know, and you actually get together and you speak to people and you go, right, okay, well, with the 6 of us here, let's make sure that we don't double up on machines. I'll get the Jurassic Park if you get the Spider-Man, and then in 3 or 4 months' time, maybe we'll do a swapsies. Yeah. And I think that sort of thing. I mean, there are people out there that can go that can afford. So there's some serious collectors out there. I can't afford that. My funds are limited, and so is space to a certain degree. But I am coming round to the idea. I think I said to you, you were talking about the Star Trek. I said, well, why don't I get Star Trek? You've actually gone and bought it. But I would have been up for buying the Star Trek, knowing full well that you've got an Elvira and you've got Deadpool and you like the Star Trek. So between you and me and a couple of other people we know, we could have done, for a year or so, you do a bit of swapsies. And I think that's a really good way of doing it.
To be fair, I couldn't afford the Star Trek, really, and Andy's done me a massive favour with it, to be perfectly honest with you. And just, allowed me to... It's been news to him. Allowed me to pay it over 10 years, wasn't it, Andy? Something like that. He's been absolutely great. and maybe that is something that you end up with anyway, which is sort of feeds into what you're saying about getting these swapping these games around. And I do think it's definitely the way forward, just to enhance your collection and enhance your experience of playing some of these games. And of course the other way is to get down to some of these clubs, as we mentioned, Flip Out Special when lit.
They're down near me in Salisbury. You got to come down and we'll hop on over there, because they're only 20 minutes away from me.
You said there's a tournament, didn't you?
Yeah, I think it's December. I'd have to have a look at the forum again, but I think it's early December. They've got a tournament down there. I think that'd be worth going down to have a look at.
I'd want to speak to everybody, from down there, and also the other day I was speaking to Kirk as well, so I wanted to speak to as many people from as many different clubs as possible, and then just find out where to go, find out what's going on. It's all there, all the information is there and out there, but some people are a bit lazy like me, Spencer. You need it sort of you need your food not just spoon-fed, but sort of pulverised and
I'm not doing it. You know I'm not doing it. It's not happening.
Absolutely. So, there's so many good events that we're looking forward to. But we'll definitely make a trip up to Flip Out within the next couple of weeks, because Matt has been extremely accommodating. What a nice guy. What a nice guy. Yeah.
But, so I've sort of touched on the fact that you've now got a Star Trek. What else has materialised back at your house?
I mean, old transporter.
Yeah. The dreaded pin transporter. Wouldn't that be good if we could do that? Just sort of beam them across.
Well, on the same day, Star Wars and Star Trek were beamed into my house.
They rematerialised.
They certainly did, which has been. They're not down here yet because, as you can see, I mean, I've been in a state of flux literally. So, but they're both set up and playable. In fact, I'll edit footage in from I'll give me a couple of days to put this together and upload this. I'll put some footage in of them. So, one Star Trek's in the lounge. And Star Wars.
Oh, so they're all up and about then. You've got legs on them and you've got them powered up and you've been playing them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So come on, dish the dirt. What do you think?
Fast as hell. The pair of them are fast as hell. I think there's no point me talking about Star Trek. How many times we walked past Star Trek at Pinfest and I would tap it and say, I like this machine. It's fast. It's flowy. It's exciting. It's a magnificent machine, and I needed some upper flipper action in my life.
You were a bit besotted.
I did, and it's and I'm really, really pleased to have it. I still need to, in many respects, it's a disadvantage getting two games at the same time because I haven't been asked really to actually sit down and look at the rules, and both Andy sent me the rules. John, who was, I can't remember what episode was John on, 3 or 4, something like that.
Yeah.
He's got the Mandalorian, he's got the Star Wars, and he's got Stranger Things, hasn't he? I'm popping to see him soon as well. He sent me the rules as well, but I haven't. I've been so intent on playing them, but I managed to get through a little barrier last night with, which Andy helped me with. Basically, I leveled Star Wars up, so Star Wars was orbiting straight between the flippers.
Right. Okay, yeah.
And then he said, basically, it worked out. And this, if you don't know this, because I didn't, so I'm not going to assume everybody knows this. So on my mobile phone, I had a pinball leveling app.
Mm-hmm.
It was next.
Yeah, I think everybody's got the same one.
Well, they haven't, because I've got an Android, and actually the one you want, the Pin Guy one, is actually only on the iPhone.
Well, that's the one I've got, which is the Pin Guy.
Right. Well, I borrowed Chloe's phone, my daughter's phone. Lo and behold, I actually put it on there. It's telling you what to do, bit to the left, telling you how many degrees. I set Star Wars up and it plays like a completely different machine. And I'm gonna hold fire on saying too much because I am. Well, number one, I'm doing a review for Pinball Heaven, and number two, I'm going to do a little bit more of a silly review for this channel, and I'm holding fire on it before I make any grand statements. But it's. Star Wars has got an awful lot of stick, and it's not anywhere near as bad as people say. And actually, I was quite into the theme. What I must say is, much like the Corsa, Chris has pimped this machine up a bit. So on the he pulled a plunger. There's a lightsaber thing which is really cool. He's popped a Millennium Falcon in there which can travel all the way around the inside of the playfield in 50 parsnips. No,
can it can do that in other vegetables, can it? That's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know Marcus, our friend Marcus?
Right? Yes, yeah.
Well, first time he ever watched Star Wars. When
I think I know what's coming, but yeah.
When they test the Death Star out and they blow up one of the planets, they blow up
Alderaan.
They blow up Alderaan.
Yeah.
And as it happens, as the Death Stars, they're tested, it's fully operational. Obi-Wan Kenobi sits down, right, and so and I sort of say, "What's up, Obi-Wan? What's the problem, old son?" And he said, I felt a disturbance in the Force. And it felt like, and he says something like, it was as if a million different voices all cried out in pain at once, something like that.
And then were suddenly silenced, yeah.
Yeah, and I've slaughtered the quote. Marcus, up until his adult life, thought, and this is someone a fan of Star Wars, thought Obi-Wan was saying it was as if a million different oysters all cried out in pain.
I felt great disturbance in the Force, as if millions of oysters cried out in terror and was suddenly silenced.
And then Marcus is an intelligent man, and he never questioned why oysters.
No, I think I was there when we actually put him straight, and neither of us could quite. But I thought he was taking the mick. Because how old is he now? I mean, he's
47. But,
yeah, I was about to say he's the wrong side of 40. And it was quite unbelievable.
Everyone else in Alderaan was completely silent, but I think the sea life were particularly upset.
Well, particular aspects of sea life,
Absolutely, they
didn't like it.
The squid said nothing.
No.
So anyway, we digress. Yeah, so my point is Chris has pimped it up a little bit. So I'm getting the theme. There's a lot of flow to it. There's some really, really good shots. I think Steve Ritchie almost nailed it. But I've got this little theory because I'm not a great fan of John Borg or Brian Eddy because I think they invent things that chuck stuff down the side drains, right? I think they spoil your fun, right? Put it this way. I'm going to upset some people by saying that. I think Steve Ritchie is making Star Wars. He's got it. He's thinking, I'm going to put a ramp there. This is in a loop, Spencer, which is brilliant. You come around next week. It's brilliant.
I've got it penciled in.
It's zooming round and it's flowing and it's going. And I think Steve Ritchie was designing it, and then he needed a toilet break or something, or he needed a bit of lunch. Want to go get a Subway or something like that. And I think he's almost finished the machine. And when he went out to get some lunch, I reckon Brian Eddy or John Borg snuck in to his design room and stuck this bank of 3 targets and mischievously thought, you know what, we're going to angle them right. I reckon it might have been Eddie. I reckon he's thought, you know what, I've done this on games before. I'm going to angle those right set goes straight down the middle. And I think Steve Ritchie came back. He didn't notice, and then the game got put out there. So it's this part of the game which you actually have to hit to get your bonuses up. That you don't go near this area, basically.
It's pretty dangerous, I assume.
It's like Chernobyl, mate. You don't go anywhere near the place. Which again would be another good theme for a pinball machine.
It would, wouldn't it? Actually, that's not a bad idea. Bad idea at all. So what's the soundtrack like on it? Because some of the older Star Wars games have been let down very badly with the soundtrack.
Oh, it goes.
No, not what's the theme music? What's the quality of it like?
Well, like that, really. Do you want to know what Star Trek does?
Actually, do you know what? Yeah, go on.
No, actually, I can't remember. I'm taking. It probably says these are Voyages of Starship Enterprise. I'm not Captain Picard or Kirk. In fact, I am Kirk, but I'm a younger Kirk. Probably not the real Kirk, not the proper Kirk. Just keep looping the ball and hit combos. These games are combo machines, by the way.
Okay, that's really nice. I like a game of flow and a game of combos. It's the only reason I touched on the soundtrack because I know some of the old there was an old Stern Star Wars as well, but the sound on them really lets them down.
I think you mean the Data East.
Data East. That's the one. Yeah, and the soundtrack on them. Yeah, okay, it's the same music, and it's R2D2 whistling and whooping and C3PO and all the usual suspects. But it's not very high quality, and it tends to be very repetitive. And some of those, some of the film ones, especially if they haven't got a big stock of excerpts to use, maybe they're limited by royalties or whatever. Well, you can have 4 sound effects for this machine. They tend to get overused, and the same sound effects are coming up for everything. And after a while, you just want to turn the sound off because you've had enough of listening to it. And I wondered what was happening with a more modern machine. And from a quality and from a sort of diversity point of view on the soundtrack.
Mostly talking about oysters and parsnips, really.
Well, that's good. That's good.
But no, it is. There does seem to be a good variety. The sound is good. I guess it depends. I don't know if you notice when you get a Pro Stern, the speakers are not as juicy as if you get the Premium or the Elite. I might have that slightly wrong, but it's more or less like that. So on Deadpool, I've upgraded the speakers, and Elvira's got bigger knockers as well. So
huge, massive, massive speakers. Like real ones, only bigger. Yeah.
The tweeter is particularly impressive. What was I going to say? But yes, I know. Yeah, leave it there. That's why you're. Yeah. Anyway, but actually, at the end, it seems at the end of each game, or at the end of each ball drain, Yoda comes in and gives you some shit at pinball. You are something like that, basically, but not that. I would like to see an adult version of
adult versions of all the machines would be pretty good. Actually, an adult version of Batman would be excellent. But yeah, so I mean, going back to Pinfest very, very quickly, what's your one big takeaway from Pinfest this year as a first time at a Pinfest?
Meeting new people, the amount of you didn't have to play pinball all the time. They actually spent as much time chatting pinball as playing pinball. I've mentioned Tommy, have I?
Oh no, we got to talk about Tommy. I don't know whether we're going to do that today or not, but it's something I'd like to ask you about. But maybe we'll save that for another video.
Yeah. But love that. Like special game. I've got to own one at some point. Or at least borrow one for 3 or 4 months and enjoy it and learn the game. Just so much to enjoy, Spencer. So much to enjoy. Just to sort of feast on pinball for a whole weekend, and it's just so much of it. It's really hard to put it into words how good it is, and you even feel sort of going back onto the forum and places like that afterwards, and even doing these videos, you're now speaking with people that you've met, which I think is great as well. And I understand this is something that was going on in the pinball community for everybody else long beforehand, but we weren't the only people whose first Pinfest it was, and that much is evident. So I think everybody enjoyed it. I think the biggest success of Pinfest, aside, and I think we've covered most of the things, is actually how everybody said how welcome they felt, because I think it's a hell of a thing to go somewhere on your own, to go somewhere that's going to be full of strangers, and not everybody does it. A lot of people keep in their comfort zone, but you've got this unified love of pinball where everybody basically shares the same passion, be it in a different, maybe different niches and genres of it, if you like. But actually, I do think to travel halfway across the country to go to something where you don't know anyone, and actually you end up going there and you do make friends, and you're not. I think that's the biggest testament. You can go to Pinfest on your own, and you will not spend a weekend lonely. And
no, you won't. I mean, I went up there obviously knowing you, but there's various people that you know from sort of doing the forum, being on there, and you've been around and met people like Andy and sort of in person before, but I'd never met these people, and instantly it was nice to put some faces to people that you'd heard of, meet them, and find out they were really nice people. And like I say, I can't wait to hook up with everybody again.
Well, to meet the nice people and Andy.
Oh, and Andy, yes, yeah.
He said, "He's funny. He's funny." I said to him, I said to him, really funny. I said at the bar one night because Stacey was with him, and I said, "Andy, you're really lucky to have a girlfriend that likes pinball." And he turned around and said, "I'm really lucky to have a girlfriend, mate."
And also he went upstairs in the hotel, which usually he was below decks most of the time, but then he ventured upstairs up to the upper deck, and I thought that was a bit out of order.
He wasn't allowed. If anybody's seen the Titanic,
yeah, absolutely.
He should have
took
been
a
down
picture.
in third class.
Yeah. Up on the top deck.
Absolutely.
Swanning around on the main staircase, like he owns the place. Like
photographic evidence, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
He didn't have a bad deal on his room, to be fair.
He didn't have a window, that's why.
Yeah, so that's right. or a life jacket. No buoyancy.
No.
As Andy said, because we were above him when we flushed the toilet, it ended up in his room.
It just floated past, didn't it? Yeah.
It did. It was, I say, it actually at a hotel as well. It was really, the price was really, really reasonable because obviously that had been arranged by Phil and the team to make sure it was organised. So we got a better rate. We got a preferential rate if you were attending Pinfest. And I think if there's one thing I would take away from it again, and if they would allow me and have me, I think next time I would stay the additional night and just to really, sort of take in the evening with the staff on the final evening. We all sat round and had pizza and had a really nice meal. And they left a few machines, 4 or 5 machines set up for them to play. I think that's really important because I think it's important to remember these people are running around in the blue, basically running around like a bunch of Smurfs, repairing everything because that's what Smurfs do, repair.
Yeah. Well, actually, do they? Okay.
And they don't play pinball.
No, they don't get much of a chance. Crikey, they get an hour's respite on Saturday between, 6 and 7 o'clock, or 6:30 and 7, just to go and have a shower and a bite to eat, and then it's full on. I mean, I will say Saturday was absolutely heaving. Saturday during the day it was noisy in there, really noisy, and the turnout was excellent. VIP in the evening was a really nice experience, slightly lower on numbers, but in a good way. You got a chance to have a go on machines and to wander around with a beer, very relaxed, and have a chat with people and play pinball. It wasn't quiet by any stretch of the imagination, but it wasn't as busy as the Saturday during the day. I don't know what Sunday was like.
Well, Sunday was a little bit quieter, but then it was interesting dynamic with the tournament because Sunday ended at whatever it might have been 4:30, something like that, and then the machines got switched off, and then people that remained watched the tournament. So it was really interesting. I think important as well for people that are participating and playing well to get rapturous applause when they have a good game and something like that. I think it's really, really good. I think it's important. That being said, it might put some people off, but that's a different conversation. Because it's part of the pressure.
Absolutely.
They weren't doing it. It's not like shouting at a golfer when he's mid-swing. If someone had a good game, they would get applauded.
Nobody took an air horn in there then.
Well, they call the old vuvuzelas, yeah. No vuvuzelas. What again? You make a good point about in the evening sessions. It just goes back to the hotel as well. So despite the as I said, it needs a lick of paint. There's no doubt about it. They need to sort out their staffing. The restaurant needs a tweak, and they need to. Actually, I don't care about the key cards because I don't think that's got anything to do with anything. I think that just happened.
It just is what it is.
It's not the first time I've seen that. I've been somewhere and that's happened, by the way. But what I do think is they could have been really, really strict, and I certainly think at other hotels, you might well find that actually they might send their own staff down at 11 o'clock and say, right, that's your lot.
Yeah.
That's it, over. Wrap it up, pack it down. Now, that wasn't happening. Look, look, it's not for me to say really, but there was one evening where it went on later than that, and you got the impression if everyone wasn't knackered and there was an appetite to do so, I don't think the hotel would have come back and laid that on heavy for anybody to.
No, I think it's a very valid point. Another thing that on being made to feel welcome, and I came down to help you with the filming. I bought a ticket. I'm going to stress that now. I bought a VIP ticket. I didn't get in for nothing because I wanted to support the event. But I was made to feel extremely welcome by Phil. And
he said very different things about you when you weren't there.
I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did. But he allowed us to get in and do some filming outside of times when the place was quiet, and that was really nice of him, because he didn't have to do that. And it gave us a real opportunity to get in there and get some nice footage and get some content together.
Yeah, and we'll be seeing a lot of that content over the next year. People will be sick of the content. But yeah, access is, I said this before, access is everything in terms of, trying to do a YouTube channel and access to machines. And as I say, Matt has been absolutely fantastic. And he's not as John as well. And it's actually there's too many to me. I'm now conscious, I'm not mentioning one or two. There's so many people have said, come and film the machines, come and do this, which is absolutely great. And I want to do as much as I possibly can, really, and continue this. Listen, we'll finish it there, Spence. But I just want to listen. Firstly, thank you for joining me and for coming to Pinfest. I know you thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thanks for kicking me in the right direction. That was much appreciated. Much appreciated.
No, you're welcome, mate. You're very welcome. It was good to have you there. We had a good old laugh, didn't we?
It was a right giggle. We had a good little sort of core group of people that we did a lot of drinking with, and we played a lot of pinball with. It was good.
We did. It was good. And I tell you what, the machines in the bar I thought were brilliant as well, by the way, for the charity. And we all chucked a few coins in there.
It was a nice touch, actually. It was a really nice touch.
And it allowed us to keep the old pinball fix going until the small hours.
Until the beer ran out.
Well, it didn't. But anyway, with regard to the podcast, as I say, if you please could, I'll put an additional post up in the Chinwag thread on the forum on Pinball Info. And I'll just put the list on there, and I'll just entitle it list of people that want to come on the podcast, so we keep it all in one place. And then I'll basically work for everyone. I'll try and do a couple a week. If I can do a couple of these podcasts a week, that'd be great. And then hopefully do some gameplay videos. I think ideally not me doing the gameplay, but we'll do some machine stuff. I also want to archive some of the shots. So I would like to get at least one video of all. It's an ambitious project, isn't it? I'd like to get at least one video of every machine on the channel. When I say one video, stuff's changed a lot. I've just got a really, really beautiful new. These two are, sorry if you're listening to this, you don't know what I'm holding up two cameras. These two, the GH4 and the GH5, are being replaced by I believe an 8K camera.
You've got
grand. I mean 8K in terms of resolution.
That's a shiny piece of equipment. Very shiny piece of equipment.
What I want to do is I want to film as many machines as possible in 4K. So as just funny enough, particularly the older machines, actually, just so as there's a real good sort of archive and record of them. And that's really the plan, and some other bits and pieces as well. So hopefully if you've enjoyed this video, this podcast, please do click a like on it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I'm blown away by the amount of subscribers on here. I must say, absolutely blown away. We're going to keep it going. Spencer will be back again. I'm sure he'll be a regular contributor on
floating around. I think I'm coming down to help you film some pins when we go down. Yeah.
You are my trusty companion. In fact, we're going to go and we're going to record. I'm going to pop down to you, and we're going to do the extra magic video, aren't we?
Yeah. I've got my new flipper, because I've got a busted flipper at the moment. That's on its way in the next day or so. Once that's in, then ready to roll.
I think you're going to have to do the talk through on that one, Spence, to be honest with you, because you know a lot more about it than I do. Right, there's only one thing left to do, and that's to pop the end Slate on there. As I say, thank you so much for watching, and thank you most of all, everybody, for joining in. It is very, very much appreciated.